Hello, this is Watch All About with another watch review, and in this review we're looking at another one of Christopher Ward's brand new releases in the C65 family, and this watch is the C65 Trident Classic Mark II, along with its brother, the C65 Mark II Vintage. They are the two watches that have been released with the brand new logo. So love it or hate it, please leave your comments to discuss your reasons behind your feelings towards it. But we won't discuss it too much because it's been discussed enough. We'll just talk about the watch and how it feels, the quality of it, etc. So this watch itself is going to cost you £499 on the leather strap or £560 on the bracelet. Now the bracelet is exactly the same as the normal Trident, apart from the fact that it is unsigned. Now I'm not entirely sure if that is unsigned going forward or whether it's just because these aren't production models. Interestingly, we have the new logo on the inside, so it tells me that this is probably how it's going to be going forward. So let's just talk about the specs quickly. The diameter is not a small watch, 43mm in diameter. If I put it on, 43mm in diameter. Now I have a 7¼ inch wrist. You'll have to excuse the size of the bracelet because I haven't been able to resize it. It has a height of 10.4mm, which is actually quite streamlined for a watch like this, and a lug-to-lug length of 51.5mm. So it is a pretty sizable watch, and I would say if you have 7-inch wrist or smaller, it's probably going to be too big for you because it is right on for my size of wrist. It's right up there on as big as I would be happy to wear. It has a water resistance of 15 atmospheres, so that's 150 meters. So it's going to be perfectly suitable for anything you realistically need to do. If you're going to go proper deep sea scuba diving, then you would most likely have a specific watch to wear for that. The movement is an ETA, well, it's one of two movements, either an ETA 2824-2 or a Sellita SW200. They're both pretty much exactly the same movement, and it depends on upon the time of manufacture of the watch which is available. Sellita did work for ETA, and the Sellita movement is basically an exact replica of the ETA movement, apart from it has one extra bearing or jewel. So for many, they believe the Sellita movement to be a slightly more superior watch, more superior movement because of the extra jewel, and also because they're using newer tooling and newer machines. So, but of course, you don't get the name of ETA, so and the history behind it. So it's a bit of a swings and roundabouts. Personally, to me, I don't care which movement I would get. I think I'd be happy with either because obviously both of them have their pluses and minuses. So, and they both perform just as well. So you can be assured of the performance no matter which movement you get. So it's not necessarily a big concern. The lume is Super Luminova, and I'm pleased to say that with these two new watches, Christopher Ward have upped their game slightly. Usually the lume on their watches have been subpar, not quite as strong as their rivals, but with these two new watches they've done a really good job, and it's a lot better than it has been in the past, so I'm pleased to see that. Obviously we have a Sapphire Crystal as well, and on this model it's 4mm thick, so if you tap it, it gives you a really hard thud, and it gives you a sense of real good quality and resilience. So it's very it's very likely to stand this test of time and be be solid for the foreseeable future. Obviously, with all Christopher Ward watches as well, you get a 5-year warranty, so that is absolutely brilliant. And you also have a 60-day trial. If you don't like it, you get to send the watch back. So let's just discuss the dial itself then. Main feature obviously is the new logo that you'll notice in its new position as well at 9 o'clock. Many people have complained that it looks a little bit simple with the change from a serif font to a sans serif font, and it certainly does look a little bit more modern. Some people also think that with the movement from the location at 12 to 9, it looks a little bit like one of those minimalist kind of watches that you see, and not quite the same kind of standard as they come to expect with the Trident range. Now, living with it for about a week, I have come to like it more. Out of the two watches, I definitely prefer the vintage. I think it might be because of the size of the watch. This is 38mm, whereas this is 43mm in diameter. So I think the logo suits the smaller dial a little bit better. Certainly on a watch this size, it does leave this sort of gap at the top a little bit empty, perhaps. Obviously, you know, this is completely subjective, and it varies person to person, what they like and what they don't like. But that's just my personal preference. I prefer the new logo on the smaller watch. Apart from that, the new the dial is completely perfect, as you'd expect. Applied hour markers with a polished border surrounding them and filled with lume. These new style hands as well, which I really like, that I haven't really seen before, cricket bat style. And I think they've done a really good job with them. Perfect length and size and shape. And it's I appreciate the way that they've introduced this new style as well, because I didn't think that I would necessarily like it, but I really do. Obviously, we have the Trident counterbalance on the second hand as well, because this is of the Trident family. Just mentioning about the Sapphire Crystal, actually, the anti-reflective coating on it is really good. I am sitting in front of a window, so there is going to be reflections. No anti-reflective crystal is really going to completely remove that. But I have noticed that this is very, very good, much better than maybe the old Trident that I've compared it to, and also the Steinhardt Ocean 1, which I've compared it to. So I'm not sure if it's a new crystal or a new anti-reflective coating they're using, but it is good, and it's also better than the vintage as well. So there we go. Obviously on the dial we have the date window. It's a shame that the date wheel isn't the same colour as the dial. Maybe you'd expect that on a watch costing £500. So that could be a bit of an upset for some. But all in all, the dial is it's neat, it's tidy, it's classy. I can't deny that, and it will certainly go well with smart and casual, and even smart casual. Why not have this watch for everything? Because I do think it would suit quite well. Moving on to the case then. Another disappointment really is the unsigned crown. Now, Chris Ford say that it's because they did get the samples through, but they weren't quite happy with it. And what's going to be on here is the English and Swiss flag motif that you can see on the front of their new Loop magazine. And they weren't happy with it, so they decided to try again with another style. So I mean, fair play to them. They rather than put something they weren't happy with, they opted to go plain and unsigned, and then once they are happy with it, it will be rolled out to the models then. So I'm not sure if they will offer something like for the people who have bought a watch with the unsigned crown, give them the option to when the new crown comes out, give them the option to send the watch back to them to get the new crown fitted. That would be quite nice of them, I think. So we'll have to see what they say about that. The case itself then is perfectly manufactured, as you'd expect. The finishing is top notch as well. The majority of it is brushed. The only bit of polished is this slither at the top and bottom of either side, and then it's a little bit more on this side because of the crown guards. But it's a very nice selection, or a very nice variation, the way they've done the variation of the finishing, because when you're wearing it, majority of it is brushed, so it's going to be hard wearing, but also you have this little flash of polish which provides a little bit of class. Also the bezel on this watch is polished as well, so yeah, the case is very good. And then we have the case back, which is remade as well. So we have a new deep stamped style case back. So we have Christopher Ward Trident classic motif in the middle, and then these details deeply etched around them. So it's nice and good quality. Certainly a step up from the original case back. So yeah, this also has a polished rim surrounding the outside as well. There's not a lot to talk about the bracelet. It's exactly the same as every other Trident bracelet, apart from a very slightly different buckle, not being signed on the top, but having a signature in the middle here. So I mean, I assume, I would hope, and I would like that maybe in the future we'd have the little Swiss and British flag motif engraved on here, because it does look a little bit plain, let's be honest, and it would be cool to see something there. So yeah, the quality of the bracelet is excellent. Brushed outer sides and then a polished centre link. I really do like the Trident bracelet, and I have done since this style was released. So no complaints here whatsoever, apart from the buckle, obviously. So let me just get my macro lens on then, and we will have a look at it in close detail. Okay. Let me just move the second hand. Okay. The minute hand, sorry, not the second hand. So here's the logo. Nicely printed, as you'd expect. Automatic there, and then we have Swiss made. Now, please be aware that this is not a production watch at all. It's actually one of their samples. So simple things like this printing is don't worry about that. That will be fixed with the production models. Here's the date window with a very nice polished border around it. Nice little touch there. And then of course these applied hour markers are very nicely machined as well, filled with lume, and they're just really well made and applied. The polished border to them provide you with a nice reflection as you're wearing the watch. So here's the new style hands, cricket bat style. Again, very nicely made. There we go. So moving on to the case quickly. If you see any dings or any other little flaws, just bear in mind that this isn't a final production model at all. So we have the polished bezel there, and then the brushed side with the polished top and bottom. If we go over to this side, we can see the crown. Nice and easy to use as well, the grip's good. And then on the underside we can have a look at the case back, the Trident motif, very nice deep stamping surrounding it, as I mentioned before, very good quality, this raised lettering as well, and then nice and deep engraving for all these details surrounding it as well. So the bracelet itself, here's some of the links. So you can see the brushed surrounds and the polished centre link. And then finally here's the Christopher Ward engraving inside the elbow joint of the buckle itself, nice and deeply engraved. Okay. In terms of quality, build quality of the watch, really there's nothing you can complain about, because all Christopher Wards are so well made. I've never had a single problem with any Christopher Ward watches, and they've always proved to be excellent value for money in terms of build quality. So this C65 Trident Classic Mark II is no different there. Obviously, there are a couple of dings and bits and bobs on this particular watch, but as I mentioned before, this has been handled a lot and passed to and fro a lot because this is just one of their samples after all. But it gives us an idea of what the watch will look like when it is fully released middle of next month. Now, if I had the choice between the two, I probably would personally choose a vintage, but that's not to say that this isn't a nice watch. I think the new logo has caused a lot of division, and I do think that many people have got to give it a little bit more time to like the new branding and to understand it. I'm coming around to it, I certainly am. I just think that the new logo looks a little bit better on a smaller dial. That's my only thought, but I still do like the look of this watch. It's just I prefer the other watch. On the wrist, it's it is smart and it is classy. That you can't really deny it at all because it does look great. It oozes quality as well. Stuff like the applied hour markers and the hands when they reflect the light, and this coupled with the decent anti-reflective coating on the crystal, it does look very good on the wrist. And it does, some people have said it might look a little bit cheap and tacky, but I can unequivocally say it doesn't. It looks very quality and classy. So yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else worth mentioning. Oh, just those minor points. The things that I personally would like to have seen is obviously the signed crown, but we know that is coming. The date wheel to be the same colour as the dial. Hopefully we see that sometime in the future. And then just a bit of engraving on the buckle itself. They're my three key issues, but apart from that, it is a very good quality watch. And I still really like Christopher Ward. I haven't fallen out or fallen out of love, should I say, with the brand. I still think they're doing good work, and I hopefully will continue to think that way as they bring out the new logo with the rest of the watches. So this was the C65 Trident Classic Mark II, and that's what it's all about.